Hey, Archery Talk, this is Lucas, and today I've got the big cat, Steve Anderson from Hoyt Archery, and he's going to kind of tell me about the new target bow lineup for 2023, technically speaking, and we'll look into choosing maybe what will hopefully help me choose which target bow I should be shooting this year. So, Steve, welcome aboard, and yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about the new lineup.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, very exciting new lineup. We launched it earlier than normal. A lot of people have got them or shooting them, and some really good results already with it. So it's exciting stuff.
So I guess maybe let's dig into the new cam system and maybe why Hoyt developed it and kind of and maybe who's been shooting that and maybe why they're shooting that. If you can give me some insight.
Yeah, so we have historically, our hunting bow lineup has kind of borrowed technology from the target bows, and it's kind of gone the other way a little bit on this one. The target bows had our HBX Pro cams the last couple of years. Very popular cam. People have liked them. They've tuned well in the hunting lineup. They've shot well in the hunting lineup. Just really good shooting bows. And we developed a target version for that. And whereas the hunting version is like an 80 or 85% let off, this new HBT cam, Hoyt Binary Target being the designation there, is tailor-made for target archery and the specs that people are looking for there, and super adjustable. I mean, that's the thing about it. Like, whatever feel someone wants, they can achieve it pretty much with this cam. HBT's got good speed. It's not an SVX cam where people are always wanting to compare the two, and it's like, we're probably not gonna be able to touch SVX cam in speed and have that kind of adjustability and set up. And SVX cam is just a fast cam. But the truth is, for most people, you're only going to be about 5-6 feet per second apart in typical draw length settings. So it's still got plenty of speed. It's got whatever feel you want to get out of it. And it really creates a very sweet shooting bow. I mean, the different cable system from SVX creates a different shot experience. Just a really good feeling bow that can be set up to give you whatever type of shot process you want and whatever type of shot feel you want, and very dynamic on the back end.
And are you finding most of your pros are switching to that cam? I mean, I think when the bow first came out, I poked Jesse Broadwater and asked him what he was shooting, and he said he was shooting the new HBT and some other folks as well. And so, is that generally been the what most of the guys are and the women are shooting this year?
It's been ordered. That's been the choice, I would say, for most people. You have your types that have shot SVX and they've shot SVX so well, and they're just like, why am I going to change? Like, take a Mike Schlosser. He shot, I think he qualified the last 7 World Cups #1 with an Invicta with SVX. So on his Stratos, he said, I want to get the SVX. I'm comfortable there. He has an HBT and he's testing it, and he's going, man, this thing's really easy to shoot. I think this might actually work out. But there's going to be shooters like him, or shooters that are just so ingrained in SVX, they're going to stick with that. And that's why we made both. So, but I would say the split, historically, we've had SVX and something else. And that something else cam was probably 10% of our pros would use that. And I bet we're going to be, I would guess we're going to be at least 60-40. I might settle at 50-50, but I would say right now there's more shooting the HBT than the SVX. So we'll see where that shakes out. I'm shooting the HBT, plan to keep it there. I haven't spent a ton of time with it. I shot a prototype version. Well, not a prototype cam, but I shot a paint test bow. That's the bow I've got set up. I don't have the production one yet, so I'm still waiting on mine. Which is kind of funny, being I'm here in the factory every day. But gonna be spending a lot more time with it here coming up as I get into the indoor season, and really excited about it because I can make it into whatever I want it to be. When I was initially testing it, I went to a 3D event. I had it in 70% let off. Hadn't been shooting a ton. 2 screws, and I had them, each cam, one in each cam. Had it at 75% let off, and it just was really easy to work with. So super easy to change that feel. And I think I think it's going to surprise people. I really do.
Yeah, I'm like a recent convert to the spiral SVX cam. I always shot like a GTX and then the X3 and the Prevail. But basically everyone tried to scare me away from the spirals and the SVXs. Oh, they're so aggressive. And then I got one on the Invicta, and I've never shot a bow better than that.
Really?
Yeah, for me. I mean, no, my better is not a pro's better. Keep that. There's levels to this, and I know where I'm sitting, and it's not near the top. But yeah, like I set personal bests at 50 meters and I smashed personal best with that bow.
Yeah.
But again, and I never find it. I don't know why I didn't find it to be hyper aggressive. Maybe I'm only shooting it at 57 pounds and not maxed out. Who knows what the reasons are? But that both suited me well. But the new cam system is interesting for me mostly because that 1/4 inch draw length adjustment. Like that's
very much so. Yeah.
That's being able to micro tune draw length without having to mess with twisting cables and twisting strings and doing all that stuff, which I'm always worried is going to throw my bow out of tune.
Yeah, and with so two things there. I'm going to step back on, how you said you were shooting really well with SVX cam. What that would lead me to believe is that you may have been with your with any bow, you may be introducing like a deflection of the string off your face or something that would create a side to side movement of the string. And maybe it's just you're going, hey, no, I aim it and shoot it better. And that's one thing. But what I found was the big difference in SVX versus some of the cams before was the higher string tension kind of just forced things to move back in line, made it harder to have a left and right miss that was unexpected because it didn't want to deflect as much coming off your face or whatever. So there's some reasons SVX is a very good cam, and there's definitely reasons why we're not getting rid of it. It's very reliable, and you know what you're going to get. And depending on the cam size, it can be very manageable. Like in mine, the number 5s, it was not super aggressive. I'd still find a way to take a little bit of let off with it with strings, but you get someone who has a number 2 cam, and it could be pretty gnarly if they didn't get the setup right or if cam timing became an issue. Then it was pretty aggressive. So you said you're a 30-inch draw.
Yeah, I've been shooting 30-inch draw. I think I started off at 29 and a half, and then I did a video with Jesse a number of years ago, and he said, you need to be longer. Like, all right, I better go longer. Everyone told me to go shorter, but I figured people who do this for a living would know what to do more than they would. So
that's another thing I see a lot too, and I suffered from it when I was first getting into target archery. I felt like I was creeping, so I thought, I need to shorten up, which will help me stay in the back end because I'll be still having room to pull through. But what was actually happening was I was not fully engaged because I wasn't all the way back. So at one point I was shooting a 31-inch draw length, like 31-inch on the money, if not getting closer to like 30 and 15/16. And it's kind of getting eaten alive by the SVX. At the time it was the spiral cam, same family. And Kevin Wilkie said, hey, you need to go like at least an inch longer. And I went longer and things got better, and I went longer again and things got better again. So I ended up an inch and a half longer than where I was originally starting, and really made those SVX cams manageable for me. I remind me what we were going into after that. Oh, the 1/4-inch draw length adjustments and how, what you said was you're always kind of afraid to mess with it because you felt like it would throw things out of tune on an SVX. And that's a little bit true. You had to kind of understand how the cable system worked there because they're not twin cables. So if you added one twist to one cable and one twist to the other, it wasn't necessarily moving the cams at the same rate. So you kind of had to be, up to speed with how you were going to time the cams and then make sure you were doing that appropriately. So it could be hard to get just that little bit of a draw length adjustment. Most guys would do it in the string, take some twists out of the string, but usually to get your peep, if it's square, to get it to line up against square, you need to add or remove about 3 twists. So sometimes you don't want to move the draw length that far. You want to move it just a little skosh, and that's where you run into issues. But on the Stratos HBT, we have 1/4-inch draw length in the cam itself, which is going to be most everything someone needs. If they go, hey, I need a little bit less than that, we have the option to do 1/8 inch grip reducer, so you can do 1/8 inch total. And then if you feel like you need even less than that, you know, those cams are, or those, excuse me, the cables are twin cables, so you could take a 1/2 inch out or a half twist out of each cable and have, you know, matching cam timing and have just a little bit less draw length out of it, and really, really easy to work with that cam system.
So again, thanks for the insight on that cam, and especially that kind of fine tuning of draw length. I guess my big question now is what do you think? Which one do you think I should shoot? Should I look at the 36 or the 40? Should I look at the HPT or the SVX? What do you think would be ideal for someone like me?
100% you should shoot the 40-inch HPT.
Okay.
Yeah, 36. I mean, you're a 30-inch draw length. You're long enough draw length to, and you know, I can like look at you. If I remember right, you're pretty long armed. Is that right?
Yeah, reasonably so. I'm tall and skinny. Not as tall as you, but yeah.
Yeah, you got a long wiry frame, so like long in the neck and everywhere. It just makes sense to get in a bow that's bigger and longer. And you know, I mean, if we made an Invicta 44, I don't think I'd put you in that one. I'd put me in that one. But you know, for sure I'd go with the 40, and for sure I'd go with the HPT. I don't think you want to. I don't know. I think you got to try the new one. It's good enough that, you know, it's worth a test for sure.
Again, I'm of the mind that the different, like they're all good enough for me. I'm not making a living doing this. So I'm just a guy making videos and having fun and trying to hit personal best when I can. But yeah, like I have no doubt any of them would be. They're all going to be better than I am. But I'm excited to try that new cam system for sure.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of people who can ever really say they were out shooting their bow, or you know, like the bow didn't have enough to outperform them. I mean, that's rare. I think I've felt that way like one time in my life. You know, I was talking with Mike Schlosser. He's a guy who he has this crazy, I don't know if you've heard stories of like Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods would hit 10 different drivers and he would pick one, and he knew for some reason that one had something about it, right? And he could tell what it was. And he'd be like, oh, this one's a little heavier, right? And then they'd measure them, and it's like 3 grams is the difference. But he could figure all that stuff out. And Mike Schlosser's kind of the same way. So, you know, he was texting me about shooting the new cam, and just, I don't know if it's because he has so much weight on his bow and he pulls so hard or what it is, but you know, I think what he's figuring out is the way he engages shots actually like forces the cams to want to roll over, and you know, he's feeling a different feel from that HBT cam with its twin cables than he was from SVX that have, you know, different length cables and operate at a different rate. So it's really interesting how some guys can pick that out. But yeah, you'll be right at home with that HBT.
No, I have no doubt. So the Stratos itself, beyond the cams, like what kind of major differences are there versus, you know, the riser design and whatever else versus the Invicta?
So the biggest difference really is, obviously we've talked about, well, I don't think you and I talked about it, but everyone's probably seen some stuff about it. The riser shift creates a different center of gravity. And if you were to pick up one then the other, you would feel that. And it's kind of interesting how it'll make it feel. A lot of guys think it makes it feel one way, but you know, when they look at how they're going to stabilize the bow, they end up doing kind of the opposite. So I think most will be able to shoot more front stabilizer weight in the Stratos than they would the Invicta. The advantage there is you're creating a more difficult bow for the wind to move. The more front stabilizer weight you can shoot and get away with, the better. So if we can shift that center of gravity back, now it allows you to put more weight out on the front bar, which opposes the wind. I think when you get in a nervous situation, it helps, provided you don't start with a massive shake, right? Once you start moving, a heavier bow is harder to stop moving. But if you can get a heavier bow, and especially a heavier front bar, to stop and aim for you, then you're at a big advantage, because it's just a harder piece to move around after that, right? It's harder to move something that's heavier than it is something that's lighter. So that's a part of it. The biggest part, I believe, is the limb angle. So Invicta had a 13-inch limb that started more parallel. And when you have a limb that's very parallel to begin, and now you pull it to full draw, you're moving, to an even further, probably a past parallel state. And that will create a limb that now wants to move up and down. Top limb wants to go up, bottom limb wants to go down. On Stratos, we use a 12-inch limb, so it's a shorter limb to begin. They have the same limb pocket angle, but because it's a shorter limb and just different in profile, you have a more upright limb tip at brace. And then when you get to full draw, now it's pretty parallel. So the big difference there is just the dynamic through the shot cycle. Whereas Invicta was trying to go up and down, Stratos wants to drive forward. And I've always felt like a bow that would want to drive forward shot better for me and was more predictable in wind and more predictable under pressure. And I'm hearing from a lot of people, well, a few people who have shot Stratos in a high pressure environment, and they're saying this bow really, really aims well under pressure. So I believe that's due to limb angle personally. So that just creates a different shot feel and a different shot experience. Although it has a little bit more action to the shot, it's still super dead in the hand. Really, really quiet, and just a different shot experience than anything anyone's probably felt out of a 40-inch target bow.
So it sounds like fun. I'm definitely interested to see what it's going to feel like when I get my hands on one. I think really that's about all I need from you, Steve. I do appreciate your time.
Yeah, happy to help.